Didn't you do a lefty Watt plower?
For a minute.
For like a hot second because of a similar thing like that?
I don't remember what that was about off the top of my head, but I do remember doing 8 or 12 of them.
It wasn't Iggy Pop. I thought it was Iggy Pop.
Oh, yeah. It was Iggy himself.
Iggy Pop wanted one. He wanted it left-handed, so you had to make him.
Yeah, that's right. And then, and he did an interview we saw with him recently at his home in Miami, wherever he's at. You could see it in the background. And Penny and I were like, look! I forgot all about that. That's cool.
And like all across the nation, people went, the guy from Red Hot Chili Peppers has a Watt plower.
Yeah. Nobody noticed it but me and Penny probably, but that's okay.
Because I've seen the Watt plower pop up so many places. Didn't Fred Armisen have one too?
Yeah.
All kinds of people. Yeah.
I sold Fred his.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but I think that happened
everywhere now.
I think that happened through Watt too, by the way. I think he saw Watt play somewhere and one thing led to another and Watt was like, hey, can we sell a bass to my buddy Fred? And then I'm like, yeah, send me his info. And that's like Fred Armisen. I'm like, holy shit.
All right.
We sure can. And then he was nice enough to send me a picture. He sent us a beautiful picture of him holding. Yeah,
he seems lovely.
We put that up on social media and stuff. He paid for it. He didn't have to send me a picture or whatever. He was like, I'll help you guys out and send you a picture. I'm like, that's fun. And about once a year, I post it to my Facebook page and he gets 1,000 like, oh my God, you kidding me?
How long did you work on the Watt plower for? That was like
6 years.
I was gonna say, I remember you showing me a Watt plower and then it being so long that I was assuming it just fell apart because I hadn't seen it in so long that I was like, well, I guess that never came together. And then you're like, hey, we did it. And I'm like, oh man, that was a long road for that guy.
So when did we launch that? We launched that at the NAMM show in 2017?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Okay. So I took the prototype to him at a Fire Hose reunion show in April of 2012. I have the poster from that show hanging in our demo room, and that was when he got the first proto.
Yeah.
So it was 5 years at least.
Yeah.
How long did we go at it before we got the first prototype? Because Joe works at his own pace. I'm right on my 6-year number. And we did a whole lot of prototypes.
Yeah.
And he, and it's so funny because it's a funny story. I've told this story before, but I tell our artist program is not about, hey, Matt West, I made this guitar here. We're going to make it and put your name on it.
Yeah.
And when I approached Watt about doing a signature guitar, that's basically what he told me. My sales pitch to him was, he's like, I love Reverend Brother Ken.
Yeah.
But, and we've known each other for years. And he's like, and I love what you guys do. And I love Brother Joe and blah, blah, blah. But, I kind of have my own thing. And I said, I know you very do have your own thing. And so the basses that you use have changed over the years because you're always looking for this perfect thing. I want to make that, whatever that thing is. It doesn't matter to me what the bass looks like. It doesn't matter to me what.
Yeah.
I just want to make the bass that you want to take to the stage every night that's going to work for you every night.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like mouth open. Nobody's ever said that to me. I've been asked to do signature bass. I couldn't count on my hands the number of times.
Yeah.
And people come up to me with this bass and they go, we want this to be your signature bass.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever asked me what I want. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
So then I opened myself up for doing 6 years of prototypes. And Joe works at his own pace too.
Yeah.
And Mike would give pointers and then Joe would chew on them for a few months in his head and then something physical would develop. And so we don't make the prototypes at our shop, or Joe doesn't make them special in his basement or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah. We send the specifications over to Mirror Music and have them make them because the whole concept hinges on the idea that when we get this finished, Mirror is going to reproduce that over and over again. And we are going to sell the exact instrument that Watt is touring with. So if you're a fan, you can go get his bass.
Yeah.
And then if you don't sound like him, that's your problem. Just kidding.
I was on board with that. I'm like, absolutely.
But I mean, it's the same instrument, and it's been that way. That's why so much work went into the Corgan guitars to get them right. Because Billy Corgan could be on tour here in Michigan, and somebody steals his guitar, and he comes over to Bees and buys yours, and go right to the stage because there it is. We had that happen with The Cure.
Yeah.
The Canadian Customs opened guitar cases in the rain on the tarmac looking at stuff when The Cure was doing a border
Don't give
crossing.
a shit.
And guitar cases filled with water and got reclosed.
Oh my God.
And sent to them. And Reeves had a guitar get completely ruined.
Oh my God.
Before Riot Fest, went to Chicago Music Exchange, bought a couple of Reverends off the wall, took them right to the stage.
Wow.
Isn't that awesome?
That's awesome. Yeah.
So Watt, we would get close, and Watt would be like, "Oh, this is cool, but I'm really looking for this or that or this or that." And then Joe kind of got it.
Yeah.
And we came with this thing, and he didn't even plug. He looked at it. And I could just tell. He looked at it, and went, and he sat down on a bar stool without even plugging it in. Started doing his Watt thing, and he's like, "Oh, so maybe I like to lean him up against the wall. So if the back isn't so contoured, if it's flatter here instead of being so offset in the rear, and like just a couple of little things." And then that was it. And he took that prototype and played it for the rest of that Tab Falco tour. And then I think we had the next round, it was finished.
I remember, I think the one I played was when you were still trying to find a pickup that Joe could design, because he was in love with this certain brand pickup. And you were like, I think Joe can design him something he likes better. And that was where you were at one point.
Yeah, there was a certain brand of pickup where they wouldn't return my phone call.
Oh.
They just didn't. And I had heard later that they don't want to do OEM stuff.
Oh. Well.
And then their only contact information on their website was a fax number.
Oh, yeah. I just remember you being
and
like,
I literally faxed
them,
pickup, asking for a salesman to give me a call. I couldn't ever get anything going with them. And so I bought one of them retail. It was in one of the original prototypes, and he didn't care for it in that setting.
It's funny how you can change that.
Yeah,
like you can take a pickup you love and stick it in.
And then Joe was like, "Well, what do you want? What are you looking for?" And that's how the P rails came about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And then what's funny is then later I hear him telling the story to somebody on his podcast.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Oh, Ken and Joe, they're great. They used to come around with these guitars," and I'd be like, "Oh, that's cute." But it just wasn't, it wasn't there. And then one day they showed up and they had it. Because I didn't really think they were ever going to do it, but they stuck with me. Every time I told them no, I thought, well, that'll be the last time I hear from those guys. And then they'd come back around and they'd have something else. And I'd be like, yeah, he's my hero.
Yeah.
I mean, how you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, you're not going to be deterred by something. And he blew me away. We had him in our studio last week, and they played a couple songs in MSSV, and they're so awesome. Yeah. And then he was getting ready to unplug, and I kind of got out my phone to put the video on, and I'm like, wait, before you unplug, play something for me for my Instagram. And he looked me right in the eye, and he started playing Forever One Reporter's Opinion, which is an old Minutemen song, and it's on his solo record too. And he plays it always, in his sets. And it's my favorite. Probably, if I was really hard pressed, I would have to say it's my favorite song. Yeah. Of all time, which is a big thing. And he started playing, he looked right at me and smiled, and I'm like, you remember that's my favorite song? And he just winked at me.
That's so cool, man.
He's so cool. It's so ridiculous. Who remembers that? Why would, how many fans that guy has? Like, why would he, but he's that guy. And he's genuinely very caring. Like, genuinely. He is such an incredible person. What were you going to say, Penn? I'm not on mic. Yeah, I know. But I'll if you want to remind me of something, I'll tell him.
When we did the signing.
Oh. Yeah, when we launched it, we had people line up to get his autograph in our NAMM booth. Yeah. And people would come up to him and they would be like, I know you don't remember me, but I remember when I saw you play in 1993 at the Doug Fir in Portland, and you and I were talking about old Blue Oyster Cult, blah, blah, blah. And then Mike would go, oh, are you wearing a Husker Du shirt? Yeah, like literally. And the dude would be like, yeah. We just saw this repeated. Like he must have some sort of weird photographic memory, or because he remembers everything that people say and talk about, and just tells the most fantastic stories. And he's such an interesting cat.
It's wild.
We hope you've enjoyed this. Please check out the full version of this interview on our YouTube channel at Bees Music Shop MI. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video with your friends. It super helps us out. It helps our channel. It helps us to make more content. We really, really appreciate it. If we can sell you a pedal, a guitar, anything you want, musical, check us out at beesmusicshop.com. We'd love to help. Thank you so much for watching.